Hello from Bear Lake. Last night as a family here at Bear Lake. Tomorrow we all have to go home. I'm laying in a hammock watching the sunset over the lake. It's just beautiful. So as I'm thinking about today, when you get your whole family together, you're so excited when they arrive and have each person come. Last night as I was laying in bed, all of my children and grandchildren and my husband was there and my mom in the house, as well as my sister and her two daughters, and I felt their souls. I just felt how love it is to feel them all there, and how wonderful it was to have all four of my babies and their wives in the same spot. And it was only one night that we got to do that because my kids are adults and they're coming and going and they can't all come at the same time. But it was just such a gift last night. But then after being together with your family a few days, you realize there can be some challenges, right? So on my wall in my house, I have a sign that says, "Family are the people who love you the most and are the people that drive you insane." Right? So I was thinking about family and about some of the issues of family. And about having 52 years of this family and the baggage that has been created, the hurt that has happened, all the good times, the blessings, and how we all have that in our family. Family drama? Yeah, family drama. So with the family drama, this is what I was thinking about today, is there's been sometimes family drama happens and others in the family don't know what's happening because it is the drama inside of you. Your own struggles with things, I've been feeling a bit of jealousy. Isn't that a fun emotion? Here you are middle-aged, you think you should get over some of that, but I have felt that angry, that's not anger, but the envious feelings of jealousy hit me. And for other things, for some things. And anyway, so as I was thinking about that, where's the jealousy come from? And then tinged with part of the jealousy, there's some hurt, there's some things that you felt for a long time. And maybe no one else in your family is aware of those injuries, those things that have happened, and most of the time they don't show or whatever, but then you get all together and you're like, oh, that hasn't been resolved yet. I still feel those feelings. Let me share a little of an experience I had. So my dad was one of the best human beings I've ever known. But as we say, it was me and my mom and my sister, that my dad was such a good man, but he was impossible. Just impossible. Really challenging at times. And there was a lot of things in his life and in our lives that made it so that as my sister and I grew up and were leaving home, that at times we wanted some distance away. But then there was grief involved because you're like, we don't want to distance ourselves to our mom. Anyway, there was a period of time as an adult, I'm guessing I was 30-ish, had little kids at home, and I was not in a good place with my dad. We lived in Roosevelt, Utah. My parents were in Casper, Wyoming. That was a good thing to have some of that distance. But it was. One day while I was at school as a teacher. This was before we had phones in our classrooms. Hi, Betty. Miss you so much. Glad you're home safe. So anyway, while we were sitting, I was in my classroom before cell phones and before phones in classrooms. The secretary ran in and said I had a phone call and it was an emergency and it was an important. So I ran down to the office. She took my class and I got the phone. And so I got the phone call, and it was my mom telling me that this weird viral infection, like from sci-fi movies, had attacked my dad's heart and had eaten his heart valve, like within hours. And he was having to have emergency heart valve replacement surgery in the morning and didn't know if he'd live or not. And it was not expected. He'd been well. I talked to him a couple of days before. Anyway, it was really sudden. And so as you can imagine, I ran in my classroom. I grabbed my purse and I told the secretary, I'm out. I'm gone. We're having an emergency. I'm leaving. And so I ran to my kids' school, picked them up, ran home, packed bags, called my husband, and he couldn't be there. Anyway, and I just took the kids and we drove to Casper. And so I called my mom and said, we're coming, and she made arrangements so that there was someone at her house that I could drop my kids off in the middle of the night, like 3 o'clock in the morning, and drop them off, and they could watch the kids, and I'd go to the hospital. So that's what I did. And as I said, I wasn't in a good place with my dad. I was very angry at a lot of things, but he was still my dad, and I loved him a ton, and was just really in a confused state in my life with him and our relationship. So get to the hospital, and his surgery was first thing, I believe it was like 6 o'clock in the morning. And so I got there about 5, about the time he was being prepped for surgery. And it was risky and didn't know if he'd survive. And here I am, awkwardly just hanging kind of back while my mom is talking to him, and with the unknown of what the surgery would bring and if he would live through the surgery. There was a high chance he wouldn't even make it through surgery. And so I kind of hung back, and I didn't know what to do, and I had this conflict of emotions that I'm very frustrated with you, but you're my dad and I love you. I don't know what to do here. So anyway, the nurse came, and they were going to wheel him back, and he turned to me and he said, "Hey, Lisa Bug," and that was his nickname for me, was Lisa Bug. And he looked me in the eyes and he said, "I love you more than you know." Now, that wasn't the first time he'd said that to me. That was something he said. But at that moment, it pierced my soul, because as a mom, I understood that there was a kind of love that parents have for their children that the children can't possibly know. How deep, how broad, how complicated that love is, and how powerful it is until you're a parent yourself. And my dad always, my granddaughter's saying hi. Say hi. Anyway, one of my granddaughters, all of my grandkids are here. It's been wonderful, and my children. Hey kids, later, let me finish my story, and then we can swing and snuggle. Okay, so anyway, I just knew as he said that, and then that's all the time he had. I'm being attacked here. Okay, anyway.
Hi.
So Vivi, come here. Come say hi to my friends. This is my other granddaughter.
Hi.
Can you see? Can you see yourself? This is Vivian. And Vivian is 5, and Kezzy is 6, and they're my grandgirls.
Yeah.
Okay, but I'm telling a story. You're gonna have to just chill. So anyway, sorry for the interruption, but what do you do with kids? So anyway, they wheeled him away, and that was it. And at that moment, I realized
Come on.
that
Give my hand.
that could be it. And that could be the last experience that I had with him. And if he died, I didn't say I love you. I didn't tell him how grateful I was. He was my dad, about all the things that he taught me. And I was just like, no, 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 we cannot be like this. We cannot be like this. And so his surgery is very, very complicated and many, many hours long. Hey, girls, can you be quiet while Grandma finishes her story? Oh, she just fell off. Why don't you guys go play? Yep, it's kind of big for Grandma's being a fat lady and 2 kids on this hammock. Okay. All right. So, oh, I'm losing my shoe. So anyway, I went and found myself an area of the waiting room, and other families started to arrive in a couple of hours. You know how it happens. And anyway, so my mom was busy talking to, oh my gosh, the sunshine. Here we have the sunset at Bear Lake. You see that glare? Okay, anyway, maybe I'll put my sunglasses on. All right, I should show you. Can I change the view so you can see? Oh, where I am. Okay, I'm trying. Look at this place. Bear Lake, sand, beach, grass, cabin, family, sailboat, sunset, mountains. Oh my gosh. People ask, would you rather live at the beach or the mountains? And I'm like, why? When you can have both. Anyway. Okay, so basically turn your back so you can see me. Trying. Okay, maybe you just want to look at the water and that's why. There we go. Okay, so anyway, I really can't see, so I'm gonna sit up. See if the hammock collapses. Fat lady on something I shouldn't be on. But okay, here we go. Okay, my niece is laughing at me. She's a freshman in college, just finished her freshman year. Her name's Sophia Bedell. She is the superstar of softball. Yep, she is. And then she just got an offer to play field hockey. So now she's a 2-sport collegiate princess. Kicking patootie along the East Coast. She goes, what school? Oh yeah, Southern SVU, Southern Virginia University. Oh my gosh. Okay, don't laugh at me. Here we go. Fat lady, I want to finish my stuff. Sorry. Okay. All right. So I found me a place in the waiting room, kind of by myself, and I lost it. I cried and cried, and I realized something. I realized at that moment that holding on to hate and anger, frustration, bitterness, even if it may or may not be deserved, all it does is damage and destroy. And I wanted more than anything. Hear the laughter of those kids? Isn't that great? Cousins, they're the best friends because they have to like you. They have to play with you. So, my Grammy, my dad's mom, she finally got there. And she found me out. And she saw that I was a miserable wreck and said, hey, Lisa, it's okay. And I said, no, Grammy, it's not okay. And she's like, well, yeah, he may not make it through this. I'm like, no, and that's, I know, I have faith that I know where we go when we die. It's a boat. Anyway, and so anyway, and I told her that I couldn't leave. I could not have Dad leave this life like this. That it would eat me alive. That holding on to these things would just destroy me. And so, she hugged me and she said she understood and she sat with me. And then the hours passed. And of course you get freaking out because it's taken so long, even though they told you it would, right? And so there I am. And anyway, so eventually the surgeon came out and said the surgery was over, and it looked like my dad was going to make it, and that the surgery had been successful. And then I wept for joy because I had a second chance. Now, that did not change the... Hi, Ren. I've been thinking about you, lady. Ben and I were talking about you this week. So anyway, I just thought about how it didn't change the fact there was still hurt, and it didn't change the fact that there was anger. There didn't change the fact that things has been said and done.
I need to wash my feet off.
Okay, go ahead and wash your feet off. That those things were still there.
But there's no water.
But I couldn't control that. Can you get the water on, girl? That I couldn't control that, but what I could control is that I could forgive. And it was at that time that I realized that forgiveness isn't for that other person. That forgiveness is for the person that's been hurt, for their soul, for their peace of mind. And it was at that moment that I decided that even when my dad was complicated, because it didn't change that he was, when he was having his good moments, which he did, that even when things were confusing and the stuff from my childhood came up, and all that stuff, that it didn't matter, because he was my dad. And he also raised me and taught me and helped me and sacrificed for me and rescued me countless times when I was dumb. And that as human beings, we can take them as they are, even though we know they should be better or shouldn't have been a certain way or whatever. But that forgiveness is for us. So this week, as the family's been gathered, and some of those interesting feelings that happen, and you realize there's some hurt and stuff happening. I had a moment to talk to my dear daughter-in-law, Bridget Angus, and she really helped me think about some stuff and remember that I have decided to let things go and love my people in spite of the past or even the present. That they're mine and I'm theirs, and that it's not worth holding on to hate and anger. Isn't that a Hillary Weeks song? Holding on to hate and anger deep inside. By the way, she's my very favorite artist of all time. So, my message today, and our last day at Bear Lake, it's been cold this week, but today's been glorious. And as I close off the season, and I probably won't be back for another year, and I cry every single time I leave this place. I cry with grief of a loss because it's so dear and so special to me. But I also like going home. Because there will be a time and a day when I go home. And I will be looking at my God, and He'll be asking me what I did in this life and what I did. And I will long for the things that I love, but I will also be grateful for some things that I've experienced as well. And so as I go home tomorrow, I choose to go home and choose to have been quiet and not gotten angry or said some things about some things that I've been carrying that even my therapist has told me I should probably say. Maybe someday I will, but not in a situation with all the family gathered and it could be all that family drama, because it's not worth it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So in this, my quest of really seeing people and being truly authentic means I have to let them be truly authentic as well. And I can love them for where they are and what they are, and forgive them when they don't know that they've hurt. So I hope each of you all have the opportunity to have a little bit of your own personal Bear Lake in your life, where you can gather together in the boisterous, loud, contentious, crazy, messy thing called family. And of course, family isn't necessarily those that you're blood related to, but often it is. And that we can all learn to let go and not allow those things that have festered to take us and hurt ourselves more. Now, my dad has since passed away. He passed away in 2013. The death certificate says heart disease. I don't remember exactly what. But I know that he died of mental illness. And so, when he died, I was able to laugh and mourn and grieve with a clear heart because I had forgiven. And it was hurtful only because of the loss of him, not because I grieved over our relationship and that I couldn't have done something more. So there's the thoughts for tonight. I'm going to enjoy my family and enjoy one last, maybe I might even go out in the water. We'll see. Maybe not. It's kind of cold. They had snow here a week ago. So 90 degrees today. Anyway, love you. Take care. Peace out. I hope you can see each other. Bye.